Hey, Rick Robinson here. Once again, we're at the American Library Association 2025 edition. This is Zoom. Zoom into books. And a real treat for me because a guy that I've known for a real long time is here in for the podcast right now. W.G. Griffiths, one of my old pals, writes some wonderful stuff. Man, how you been lately?
Crazy busy, yeah, very very busy all over the world.
All
It's
over the
been
world.
all
Yeah,
over the world.
and so tell me, you got some new stuff out, right?
Well, I feel like I'm writing like 4 books right now,
Okay.
so it's like I'm traveling to Africa a lot because I met a wonderful woman in Africa through writing, and it was kind of amazing. We're all in this like little writing online chat room, and you never know who's in there, but everybody's sharing some tips and techniques. And one of the ladies says, "Oh, it's my birthday Saturday." Just random, out of nowhere remark. And everybody says happy birthday. And I say happy birthday. And then I said these fateful words. So, what are your plans? And she sort of like backs up a little bit and says, "Well, I had plans, but it doesn't look like they're going to happen." I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me? Like, who's going to cancel on you? What do you?" So she says, "No, no, it's not like that. I'm a teacher, and every day when I walk to school, I pass all of these beggars on the train tracks. And for my birthday, I wanted to celebrate by feeding them." And I was like, whoa, okay. So for your birthday, you don't want to get anything, you don't want to go anywhere, you just want to feed hungry people. She says, "Nothing would make me happier." Like, what do you call them, beggars? How many beggars are we talking about? She says, "Oh, like 100." I say, 100? And how much does it cost to feed a beggar? She says, like 1,000 naira. So I Googled naira, which at the time was $2.43. Now it's about half of that.
Okay.
So the next day, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I wired her 250 bucks. And I said, "Happy birthday to you and 100 beggars." I figured if this was a scam, it's a damn good one. And I've been scammed for a lot more than 250 bucks. So she screams, spends every penny on food, sends me back all of these pictures and videos of these people that make our homeless people look like athletes. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I have to know more about this. And I was starting bragging about her to my kids, and I bragged about her to the church that I go to. And the next thing I know, my kids' friends are on their birthday. They're telling, give him money to send to Ruth in Africa. And then the church says to me, "Wow, you're so excited about this. Would you lead the church in Manhattan to feed homeless people?" So I did. And the next thing I know, I'm sending Ruth back videos from New York of all of these people eating. I'm saying, "You did this.
Yeah.
You wanting to feed hungry people on your birthday sent a ripple effect across the entire Atlantic Ocean, and it's affecting hundreds and thousands of people." So,
And the happy part of this story too, right?
yeah, the real happy part of the story is that I eventually went over to Africa, met her, and now we're married and have a child.
That is so exciting. Congratulations, man.
Yeah.
I am so excited for you last night. We were sitting here last night, and I got the got the phone call out, or the telephone out. Made the call over to the family. Got to meet the kid. Got to meet Ruth. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing. Hey, let's get into the books a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me about the books that you currently have out. Why don't you hold them up there? And
Well, here's a couple.
I mean,
There's like a dozen out there,
I was
but
going to say you got a bunch of
is
books out there. Here's the ones that here.
this one won an award in London where you wound up going to, and
That's where we met, right?
yeah, well, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I think that might
the,
be
the London
first
Book
time we got
Festival.
together was at the London Book Festival.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
So
was.
tell me a little bit about Talon.
Oh well, it's kind of a. This is the Talons. It's a. It's a sinister falconer with a hit list, and it's a murder mystery.
Is that how he kills his prey, the falconer?
Yeah, he has golden eagles. So, you know, the thing is this. One of the things I love about writing is the research, and the research changes the whole dynamic of whatever you're writing. In fact, I would go out to say that that nobody wants to read a good book. There's too many of them out there. There's millions and millions of good books. The book has to be sensational, and to get from good to sensational, you have to do the research firsthand. You got to get out there, and so in this case, I'm studying golden eagles, which was a lot of fun. You know, you find out odd things like a golden eagle can read the date on a penny from the length of a football field. You know, like I can't even imagine it.
Thus the old expression, eagle eye.
Eagle eye, yeah, they got the best eyes on the planet. Yeah.
So, you know, that's so true because I think when you talk to anybody, you know, people think that when you write fiction, that it's just a matter of making stuff up.
You know, that's really funny.
Sometimes to get one paragraph in the book, it may take 10 hours of research for that one paragraph.
And 1,000 or 3,000 miles of travel in order to get. I opened up in the sequel to this one. I needed to figure out how to steal a mummy out of catacombs in Sicily. I have no idea. But the thing is, when you write, you want the experts to say, how the hell did he know that?
Right.
Right? And the thing about fiction is that fiction has to be real. Nonfiction has to be unbelievable. Fiction has to be believable.
I went to my son was with me, my oldest son, when he was in college. We went to some sort of a book fair. I think it might have been Penn Writers or something. And he went with me, and we're sitting there watching a panel. And they asked one of the authors to do a reading, and it was a political thriller that I write, and said something to the effect of, he ran from the cabinet room up the stairs to the Oval Office. And my son looked at me and said, aren't they right next to each other? They're on the same level, Dad. They're opposite doors. And I said, so what do you think about that? And he goes, I don't want to read the book now.
There you go.
You know, I mean, if you get one little fact wrong,
yeah,
somebody's going to go, okay, I'm out.
Oh, the thing is that research, what I find is that not only do you get to write from memory instead of imagination half of the time, but it puts you in places that you definitely wouldn't normally be. And the next thing you know, there's another story that comes up. I mean, I wound up, I have a character, in fact, this character in Methuselah's Pillar, she works on the third floor of the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. She's an Indiana Jones female type of central character. But since she works there, I needed to go onto the third floor of the Metropolitan Museum, which is forbidden. You're not allowed to go up there. So I went up, I brought a couple of books and some cards with me, and I wound up going up a freight elevator, and I got into there, and I'm looking around, you know, sneaking in, and sure enough, I didn't get 20 feet before I was nabbed by security. And then they bring me over. I explain to them what I'm doing, and they're like, they're not hostile or anything. They're just like, you're really not supposed to be here, you know. Since 9/11, they shut down that part, right? So they bring me over to the curator, and they're like, you know, maybe the curator can help you. The curator looks at my stuff, here's my story, and she says, you know, you need to talk to the Egyptian curator. And I'm like, wow, yeah, this is exactly what I want. So she goes, yeah, and you know, the thing is that he's also an author. I said, really? She goes, yeah. Here's his card. She gives me his card, and just give him a call. He'll be glad to meet with you. So I look at the card, I say, Sean Hemingway. She smiles and she goes, yeah. I'm like, and she goes, yep, yeah. This
Holy
is Ernest
cow.
Ernest Hemingway's grandson.
Wow.
Right. So the next thing I know, I'm meeting with Sean Hemingway. We're going over everything in the building, and he invites me to an archaeological dig that he's doing in Crete. So it's like, it doesn't matter. The research is always so rewarding.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
ways
that
that
is
you
cool.
never believe in the beginning.
Very cool story. Hey, WG, where can folks find you on the internet? Where can they find your books?
Well, it's wggriffiths.com.
wggriffith.com. You
Yeah.
can find all the books of one of my favorite people in the world, one of my favorite authors, and we are, again, zooming into books here in Philadelphia, PA, the city of brotherly love, the American Library Association 2025 edition. WG, man, great to see you.
You too, Rick.
All right,
It's been a
take care,
while.
pal.
All right. Adios.